What F ever do to you? B flat? She's just that. I lost him. He just left. Oh my goodness. Hope it wasn't something I said.
I'm not playing. I'm doing a show. I can't play now.
Hi, Doggy. He's like he ignores me. I call out to him and he just nothing. I get nothing back from this dog.
Oh, I know.
Welcome to Pondering Psalms. This is my name's Kurt Austin, and my friend
David Mullins is
is in the house.
In the room.
In the room. That's well, you're in the house. That's in the room.
No, actually, the room's in the house, but nevertheless,
whatever. So, welcome. We're doing Psalm 97 this week, and we've been for the last few months. We've been reading a psalm every day, the same psalm every day. And the goal then is to allow that to be formative in our lives and to allow God to speak to us in the words of these writings that are pretty darn old and yet still have truth for where we live today. So, Dave, what do you think of Psalm 97? Kind of a 30,000 foot view. What did you think? What was your feeling about it? Did you like it?
I did. And my 30,000 foot view, is that right? Yeah, 30,000 foot view actually takes place in verse 2.
Well, let's talk about verses 1 and 2 then.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The Lord is king. Let the earth rejoice. Let the farthest coastlands be glad. Dark clouds surround him. We're talking about the Lord, right? Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne.
One of the things that jumped out at me was this phrase, righteousness and justice. And then I started seeing it in a lot of other places. I mean, think of this phrase, righteousness and justice. Not just justice, also righteousness. Not just righteousness, but also justice. And it's like that. I mean, that is a great description of the God that is king. And I think even in I was doing some sermon stuff, and even is either Luke chapter 1 or Matthew chapter 1 and 2, where it talks. I think it's Matthew. I think where it talks about righteousness and justice as in connection with Jesus' birth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is for me. I think we're going to be on the exact same page on this this psalm. It is all about righteousness and justice.
Yeah.
But I have a question. There was a question. My wife asked me a question this week, and she read through it. What do the dark clouds surround him mean?
Well, there's a lot of this that I'm not a big poetic person. I mean, if the thing doesn't rhyme, it's really a poem.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Please don't finish that.
I don't know the rest of it. That's all I've ever heard. I have no idea what it means.
But yeah, I don't know if they're referring back to when they were leaving Egypt and you had these clouds, or there was a spiritual master. I forget what century, one of the single digit centuries, who talked about the cloud of unknowing. That we know more. What is it? But to know God deeper, we need to not know. So it's kind of a paradox type of thing. But I don't know if that's kind of what it's getting at, or
not a parallel. It's not a parallel to Moses up on the mountain receiving the word of God and the smoke and the fire. I mean, that surrounded the top of the mountain.
Could be. I mean, it could be, or it could be the fact that God. It's difficult to know God because He is so far beyond us.
Okay.
But I mean, the fact that the Lord is King, it's a celebration. Because maybe it's the fact that He is unknowable in a deep sense, but that's okay because we know that righteousness and justice are the foundation of His throne.
Which, so this is the thing that I was thinking about, that as far as if you have a visual image of a throne and it's set higher, right? It usually sets higher than anywhere around them. And, the options that are available for the foundation of a throne could be power, could be ruthlessness, could be self focus. It could be all of these things that the king could, in fact, build their kingdom upon. And yet our God, the Lord, our King, has righteousness and justice as the very basis for their rule, for his rule.
Yeah, and that's good news. I mean, I'm reading Esther, and if you know the story of Esther, the king wanted to parade Esther, not Esther, but the Vashti, however you pronounce her name. He wanted to parade her out after long.
I'll tell you.
You do that. But after this long banquet, basically went to his drunken friends or drunken guests, and she refused. And so he's like, well, what should we do? And so they made this law that the queen would never come into the king's presence, that she wasn't the queen anymore, because they were afraid that all the women of the kingdom would actually follow suit and not do what the husbands wanted them to do. And you read that and you come away saying, well, gosh, that's just ridiculous. Here's this king that's supposed to be powerful and he can't get the queen to do what he wants. But then when she doesn't, he just does this really weird, wrong thing. And what I see here is the psalmist is saying, well, this foundation is righteousness and justice.
Yeah. Which is, you think, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be fantastic if every government was founded on the same thing? And not just the United States, every government was founded on righteousness, which is this purity, right? This living in a right way, and this justice where people come and they find not preferential treatment, not, who can do what the most for me is who gets the ear of the leader, but in fact, justice for all.
Yeah. And I always like to drill down in these, Kurt. So I would say what's good for the king is also good for us. And because, whether we like it or not, in some arenas, we are the king because we have control. The question is, will we live our lives in righteousness and justice, in connection with our Lord as well?
Yeah, I like it. Let's go on. Because I think 1 and 2, them huge on this page. I think you would have made them bigger if you could have fit them on a page. But they then speak to the rest of this psalm, right?
Yeah, they do. They do. And this is a place where I start having problems with the poetry. Fire spreads ahead of him and burdens up all his foes. They're really trying to describe the power of God. But a lot of times, I don't track with, the mountains melt like wax. And so the commentators are talking about volcanic activity and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I just leave it the way it is. I'm not really able to go much deeper than what, the fire spreading out, burning up all its foes and stuff.
But, I'm always amazed at writers who, in this day and age, if you write a pretty spectacular book, they can turn it into a digital effect movie, and you can see what the writer, at least, a vision of what the writer might have been trying to capture.
Yeah.
But back then, to write something about, that may not have been like the mountains melting like wax before the Lord. What a visual that you wouldn't have had that as a visual. So somebody's got this in their head that this is, let me paint a picture for you of how powerful this God is that I serve,
and the thing is, God could do all of this. He could do all of it. But we don't see the mountains melting like wax. We don't see the fire spreading ahead of him, maybe because of his righteousness and justice. I doubt that's what the psalmist had in mind. But the God that we serve I mean, he can do whatever.
Yeah. I saw, so as I read verses 3, 4, and 5, I got the sense that this is really telling about this greatness of this one God. And then in verse 7, is 6 and 7, then those who worship the idols are disgraced, and they're worthless gods. Every god must bow down to him. So I kind of got, again, going back to kind of these nature gods and these, you put your faith in anything other than that, and you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to be disgraced, not just unsatisfied. You're going to be found out to be a fool.
Yes.
Because this is the God who has all the power. This is the God who has the ability to shake the mountains, melt them down.
And the I don't know if it's irony or not that, these idols were created by human hands.
Yeah.
So really, humanity is creating the idols. We still do that. We still create our own idols. And maybe what the psalmist is saying is the God that we serve is unmanageable. We can't manage him. We can't create our God. He is king, and fire spreads and lightning flashes and the mountains melt before him. We have no control over this God. All we can do is and we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll move forward. What's next?
Well, we talked about, the next page.
Sure. I mean, Jerusalem's excited because of justice, right?
Yeah. And the God that we cannot control, and maybe if verse 2 has to do with not knowing, we can't fully know him either. And so, what are we to do? Well,
hate it. So I read this and I looked at it in different different Bible versions.
Okay.
Verse 10, I was really trying to understand, you who love the Lord, hate evil. Or is it you who love the Lord had better hate evil?
Yeah, it's kind of the issue with grammar and commas, kind of like let's eat, grandma. Let's eat grandma. The comma, they say commas aren't important, but in that sentence,
it saves lives.
It does.
Commas save lives.
Yeah. So that's a good.
I couldn't decide how this goes, right? You who love the Lord, if you love the Lord, you hate evil. Or if you love the Lord, you'd better hate evil.
What did you find when you looked at the other translations?
I couldn't find a good answer to any of it. And I don't know.
Did not have a comma?
It was worded slightly differently. Let's see. I've got the RSV here in front of me.
Okay.
So the Lord loves those who hate evil.
Well, then I would take this to mean that they're telling, basically, it's a command. You who love the Lord, hate evil.
Yeah. So it's a declaration of, this is what you need to do. This is your role.
Yeah.
Which I like it better than the idea that, you're going to automatically hate evil if you love the Lord, right? Which is that other way that I was looking at that, because it's like, this is the commandment.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other way works as well. Because our love actually results. It's easy to say you love someone or something, but true love always results in certain kinds of actions. And so you could easily say, if you really love God, if that is true, you will hate evil. It will just happen naturally because of the love that you have. So yeah, I think either way works. So there you go. Still no.
He protects the lives of his godly people. Now, you don't have any way to highlight this because it's already on a slide, but he protects the lives of his godly people, rescues. Oh, you're going to go ahead and give it a shot, aren't you?
Well, actually,
can you mark it up?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you, talent.
What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? What's that?
Godly. He protects the lives of his godly people. Verse 11. Light shines on the godly.
Okay.
Hearts are right and godly.
Did I get it all?
as you look at these in different, yeah, that's it. So this is interesting because the verse 11 and 12, godly, are synonymous with righteous. Verse 10 can be used as saint or righteous.
10, where, let me look, where?
Lives of his godly people.
Okay, it can be in
the RSV, it's written as saints.
Okay.
The lives of his saints. Oh, you need a pen in a big way. Saints.
There we go.
Wow, that's beautiful, Dave. There you go. All right, saints. Don't worry about writing out righteous
down there too.
Yeah, don't worry about writing out righteous. So, but I think it's so interesting because you have this: the light shines on the righteous, and joy on those whose heart are right or righteous. May all who are righteous rejoice in the Lord. Well, what's the foundation of the throne based on? Righteousness, and so we become more like the King we serve, right? When we hate evil, when we love the Lord, when we hate evil, he begins to protect those people who are in line with who he is, rescues them from the wicked.
And I remember a quote, I can't remember from A.W. Tozer or whom else. It's, that which you love, you become like.
Yeah.
And you can see couples. I mean, I know it's kind of like a cliche that couples begin to look like one another, but there are some pictures. It's like, oh my goodness, yeah. And we become like that which we love. And so, if you're loving the Lord, you become more like Him, both in righteousness and justice. Well, you who love the Lord hate evil. That would be justice there, wouldn't it?
Right there. Yeah. And He's going to protect you from the power of the wicked.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the end of the psalm. And I think I sent you. I think I highlighted verse 11 and sent it to you early on. I think it might have been to our Discord server deal.
Yeah.
The light shines on the godly and joy on those whose hearts are right. I think that is a great promise.
I just, and all of these are part of a package. What's the actual range here that they're kind of all the Psalm of Ascents?
I think 95 through 99.
Yeah. So we've got a couple more there, and there's one early on, right? There's a Psalm.
Or but this is like a group of them. I mean, we're going through the group of laments.
Yes. Yeah.
God, why aren't you coming through doing these things? But this psalmist is talking about, our relationship with God changes our experience of God.
And we're in Advent right now.
Yes.
What a great time to be reading the Psalms of Ascent, where, and which were written as people were going up to Jerusalem. They were preparing for the festivals. They were preparing for these opportunities to be in the presence of God. And as we wait the coming of the newborn King, reflecting on who that King really is, what a gift that is for us.
Yeah. This whole thing's a gift. And I think, my sense is where we really struggle in our faith is, once again, our relationship with God kind of determines our experience of God. And we want what this psalm says in 97. Yeah. But the question is, will we relate to him as our King? So when the King's calling you to do something, you do it. What I sense a lot of times is when God calls us to do something, we'll think about it. Oh, you want me to forgive that person? Oh God, you don't know the full story there. Yes, I do. I still want you to forgive them. Let me sleep on it. That's not how the King works.
That's great.
So
I love it. Well, friend, I appreciate this so much. And for those of you who are following along with Pondering Psalm, and we definitely want to thank those of you who have made comments, who have reached out to us individually to ask questions. My wife, she actually, was asking a question about this week, which is fun. We were able to talk about it together. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. But more so, just thank God for this opportunity to read these and let them start to take residence in our hearts.
Yes.
It's a real gift. So next week, 98. I normally look ahead. I haven't looked ahead. Just 9 short verses. Another song of ascent. So Psalm of Ascent. So it should be a lot of fun. And as we get closer to Christmas, as we make our way through Advent, I think it's going to just continue to renew our souls.
Amen. Amen.
All right. We'll see you back here in about a week. Have a great time. And send us notes if you have questions, if you have insights, if you wonder why in the world Dave wears that sweatshirt and I wear this snappy outfit, let us know. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
Wild thing. Go ahead.